Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we take this Colombian Farmhouse completely off-grid with the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max and these two solar panels. All right, so in our last video, I did a deep dive on the brand new EcoFlow Delta 2 Max. It's a 2048 watt-hour lithium iron phosphate battery bank with a built-in inverter, USB charge outputs, 12-volt outputs, and 2 MPPT solar charge inputs. And in that video, I promised showing this Colombian Farmhouse, taking it completely off-grid, powered only with the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max and these two solar panels. Now, my motivation for this is I've often seen YouTube videos where somebody will get a similar battery bank and these fabric fold-out 200-watt solar panels and throw them in the backyard, plug them in, and then try and power their fridge or something for extended periods of time. And it inevitably fails because it's only 200 watts and you're practically only making 150 watts and you need to run out in the yard and move it around, or the trees and the shade and the shadows and everything. So I thought it would be fun to try and give this thing its best fighting chance. And these two solar panels are 550 watts each, or 1100 watts in total, which is a little bit more than this thing can take in at one time, but that's okay. It'll work because this will only take up to 1000 watts. And if there's more than 1000 watts available, it's just not going to be able to utilize that. So the first thing we need to do is tap into the breaker box and get a plug so that we can plug this house in to the EcoFlow. Okay, at the breaker panel now, you can see this small, modest home has 4 breakers on 4 circuits, and there's not actually that much to power in this house. I think there's 8 5-watt LED light bulbs and the refrigerator, but we will be bringing all of our cooking appliances and some other electrical loads in, so there will be that. So the first thing we're going to do here is open this up. Make sure you have your mommy's permission if you're qualified to do this. Okay, as you can see, I've got a qualified professional to install a 10-gauge extension cord lead off of the breaker panel. Now I'm going to plug this into the back of the EcoFlow Delta 2 Max. And as you can see on the output, when I power this up, the lights have come back on, and we're now pulling a little over 100 watts. So with that plugged in, I'm going to pull this yellow lead, which runs to the transfer switch in our truck. So by plugging this in, that will now power all of our built-in cooking appliances, like our induction cooktop and our kettle, which is kind of bolted to that shelf. So everything that we are doing for the next as many days as we can will be powered from the EcoFlow. So as you can see on the app, it's 2:52 in the afternoon on the 19th. I'd hoped to have this battery kind of lower to start the test, but I had the solar plugged in and it just always has it maxed out. As you can see, we're still making 900 watts right now, and our consumption on the house is 130. Okay, so let me give you the tour of the place and show you what kind of electrical demands we're dealing with here. As you can see, the doorways in Colombia are a little bit low for me. Into the kitchen now, single light bulb in the ceiling, the refrigerator, that's probably the biggest load this place normally sees. There is a wood-fired stove here, which we have used to warm the place up some nights. It's kind of a novel thing for us, but we have been mostly cooking with our electric appliances, which we've been just plugging inside here. Then moving into the dining area, again, a single light bulb. When I turn the, this one's actually incandescent, so it's pulling a lot more power, but we'll make sure to keep that turned off when we're not using it. Moving now into the salon. We've got some beautiful rustic furniture, a beautiful view of the valley, nice fireplace, and a dining area. No light bulb in there. So this room just has the one light bulb, as you can see. Moving now to the living areas. into the bathroom. Beautiful tiled bathroom. It has a fluorescent fixture, so that looks like it's pulling about 50 watts. Got to make sure to turn that off when you're not using it. Here is a spare bed with one incandescent bulb. That's also pulling a fair amount of power. And the master bedroom. Forgot to turn on the light. There's the light. This one is LED. As you can see, not pulling nearly as much power as the others. Beautiful view of the valley. Beautiful view of the farm. And of course, we can't do any of this without the solar. I just picked these two panels up locally at a little shop here. They're made by JA Solar, and they're 550 watt panels, so 1100 watts in total. Never heard of this brand, but they're performing super well. I'm very impressed with them. So the test starts now. It is 3:13 in the afternoon on the 19th. As you can see, the battery state of charge is 100%. These two solar panels have kept that EcoFlow topped up, fully charged by mid-morning every day. So now it's time to load it up. As I mentioned, we've plugged in the whole house and the yellow cord going to the truck for laptop and the cooking appliances that are attached to the truck that we don't want to bring in. So
3 hours later.
Okay guys, as you can see, the day is coming to an end. It was kind of a sun and cloud day, but the solar panels were able to get the EcoFlow up to 100% charge. And as you can see, at the end of the first day, we're at 77%. That does include some cooking. Kara made a coconut curry with shrimp using the Instant Pot and the induction cooktop. So that was a big load that took a big chunk out of the battery, but we're still at 77% at the end of day one. Now it just needs to run the fridge overnight and a couple of random lights here and there.
Day 2.
Start of day 2. Looks like it's going to be another typical sun and cloud sort of day. As you can see on the EcoFlow app, we're down to 49%. I did check the battery status last night, took a screenshot just before going to bed, and it was at 64%. And now at 49% means that running just the fridge overnight used 15%. So that's not too bad. It's still 7 a.m., but we're already making 70 watts. And as you can see, the fridge is using about 75 watts. All right, guys, a little bit of a slow morning, a little bit of a later brunch. As you can see on the EcoFlow app here, we're down to 34% on the battery. Kind of had a little bit of a more elaborate breakfast with a omelet on a toasted sandwich. And I thought it was shaping up to be a sunny day, but it's kind of looking dreary and overcast. So hopefully it kicks in with a little more sun and we can be charged up by noon again. All right, guys, it's a little bit after lunch, but it was pretty windy here this morning. Still a little bit windy, but as predicted, as usual, kind of sun and cloud all the time. But we did just get a big burst of sun, and so we decided to make some tuna melts and a salad. That used a little bit of power, but still up to 70% already. Little afternoon, so should have no problem getting by with that for the rest of the day. As you can see, the panels are nicely in the sun here, and this is obviously just a really easy place for me to whip them up on the roof. But they do get a little bit of shadow in the late afternoon. But of course, if you wanted a proper install, you just put them up on the roof. All right, guys, that's the end of day 2. As you can see, it's sunned up nicely in the afternoon. And Kara was able to charge her laptop. I worked inside the truck all afternoon, powering my laptop. And then for supper, she made some biscuits in the oven and then simmer to chili for a long time. And as you can see in the app here, we still have 62% of the battery. And even though the sun's on the horizon, about to sink there, still making 71 watts. So if last night is anything like tonight, we should wake up tomorrow with about, I don't know, 50%.
Day 3.
Start of day 3. It's 6:50 in the morning, and it did rain all night really hard, which is great because the water tanks in the truck will now be full. And as you can see on the app, we're at 36.5% on the battery, but we're already pulling in 177 watts before 7 a.m. So that's really good. Let's get breakfast going. Okay guys, as you can see from the fence post GoPro, it started out as a pretty overcast and rainy morning, and it was like that until about noon, and then the sun came out, as it always seems to do around here, and was blasting our solar panels with 1,000 watts, pumping 1,000 watts into the EcoFlow, no problem, and it was fully charged by midday. And then for lunch, I had some reheated chili and some cheesy toasty bread, and Kara made a smoothie. And then for supper, we had some sous vide salmon, instant pot quinoa, and some stir-fried red cabbage and carrot, all thrown into a Asian-style bowl. It was delicious. And now checking on the battery, we still have 77% left, so that's more than enough to get us through till morning. It's becoming pretty clear that this will have no problem keeping us afloat with just these 2 panels.
Day 4.
Good morning, everyone. Just kidding, it's evening already. This morning was rain and drizzle, so I didn't go outside and shoot a video clip this morning, but it was much the same as the other mornings. Battery lasted just fine through the night, and then coffee and eggs in the morning, toasted sandwich for lunch, and then for supper tonight, Kara roasted some squash in our little convection oven and sous vide some chicken, and then I made a little sauce out of my caramelized onion, toasted that a little bit, and so that was supper. Really good. Just kind of made that out of what we had around, but it was fantastic. 10 out of 10 would recommend. And you don't need to be very good at predicting trends to know that with 52% of our battery still remaining at the end of the day, after a significant amount of cooking and poor solar production, that this could go on for quite a while like this. So I'm going to get my thoughts together, and then tomorrow morning I'm going to give you guys a rundown of the way I think this should be set up, and what I think would work and what's not going to work.
The following Thursday.
So it's been about a week since I stopped filming our daily solar diaries, mainly because the weather has become inhospitable to filming, lots of rain and wind, but also because it started to sound like a broken record. Every day the same shirt, every day the same tuna melt, every day the same story. It just worked and charged every day. But in conclusion, if you saw our last video, you'll know I did all the cooking and the testing with the solar panels disconnected so that we could isolate the tests to the battery itself. And we comfortably got a full day of cooking with just the energy stored in the EcoFlow battery. But obviously it's better to have a couple of solar panels connected so that you're replenishing the battery as you're consuming it. And I think I've demonstrated that pretty well. But as you can see, I've kept the EcoFlow and the solar panels in place, and even with the poor solar weather we've had for the last week, it's still able to keep this place going, not only powering the house with the lights and the refrigeration, but all of our cooking appliances, and as much of the truck as I could offload onto the EcoFlow via the yellow extension cord. And as you saw, the EcoFlow had no problem staying above 50% state of charge well into the evening, and fully charged again the next day, even though we're using it for all of our cooking. And although I'm not going to go into a bunch of boring detail, I did do a bunch more testing, specifically the solar MPPT, charge controller efficiency, and dumping a bunch more power into heating a tub of water for laundry. And all that information is going to be added in the spreadsheet linked down below in the description. So, would I recommend it? How did I do it? Which panels would I suggest? As I said at the beginning of the video, those little fold-out fabric panels are going to get you a few hundred watts at best, and they're very expensive dollars per watt, and they're not going to last nearly as long as a glass panel. I guess they would be fine for their intended purpose if you're taking them out car camping and you need something that's ultra portable, but if you really want to put this thing to work in a semi-permanent installation, then large glass panels are definitely going to give you the most bang for your buck. So that's what I did here. I got two 545 watt half cell panels with an open circuit voltage of 50 volts, which comes in nicely just under the wire of the 60 volt maximum for the Delta 2 Max, and it's a pretty ideal setup to maximize the capability of the EcoFlow. And it doesn't matter that it's over the 500 watt maximum, as long as you don't exceed the 60 volts open circuit voltage on either of the inputs. In fact, you could have 4 of these big panels connected, 2 in parallel on each of the inputs, and that way on cloudy days, when each panel is only making 300 watts, for example, you would still have 600 watts available on each input, and the EcoFlow would only take what it could, 500 watts per input. And on super sunny days, it would have 1100 watts available on each input, but it would only take the 500 watts per port that it's capable of. And a setup like that would be more than enough to power your fridges, deep freeze, and computers or something. Much better than the EcoFlow just sitting in the garage waiting for a power outage. You could be saving money on your power bill every month. And with the solar panels connected, it would be a much more robust backup system because you'd be able to make enough power to keep those essentials alive in the event of a power outage, rather than relying solely on recharging from the grid when it is available. So that's all the time we have here in Colombia. We need to start making our way towards Ecuador, so I'll need to pack up these panels onto the truck somehow. I think the long-term goal is to make some fold-out solar wings, which is really going to make this big gray unit look like Dumbo. But then we'd have 2.5 kilowatts of solar in total, which would be pretty incredible. If you're interested in powering a part of your house with solar power, or having a backup to keep the fridges going if the power went out, I do have a discount code for the Delta 2 Max in the affiliate links in the description, and these will be valid until the end of July. As always, a massive thank you to our supporting channel members. It's the support of these fine folks that lets me take the time to make these videos and take you guys along on the journey. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.